Hey guys, and welcome back to Hoosier Hardware, and today I'm actually talking and taking a look back at 6 months with the Framework laptop. Now, if you don't pay attention to their sort of news cycle, Framework just announced its next generation of main boards and specs, and the great thing about it is if you bought one of the original Framework laptops, there is an upgrade kit where you can basically just drop in a new main board, keep your old main board and do some sort of project with it, but then you can just get yourself an upgrade. You can reuse everything else, the shell, the trackpad, keyboard, screen. It saves you a ton of money if you're just looking for a spec upgrade on the CPU and GPU side of things. But I do want to talk about the things that I actually don't like about the original Framework laptop. Like I said, I've been driving it daily for about 6 months, and I have some thoughts on that, but first I do want to highlight the charger I do use for my Framework laptop, and it's fantastic. It's one of these Anker Nano 2 chargers. This is a 65-watt charger with a footprint, when you're throwing it in your bag, of like the same size as your earbuds case. So these things are fantastic. I will link a couple of the Nano 2 chargers down below in case you're interested in grabbing one of these. They are tiny and do a great job. But with that, let's talk about the Framework laptop. Now, I'm actually putting this list together. These are 5 items that I would love to see improved moving forward and maybe even down the line if there is like a Gen 2 body with this laptop or something like that. They're put in order of least important to me to the biggest sort of irks that I have with this laptop. Number 1 on this list is this 180-degree hinge is too easy to move. It's too loose of a hinge in my opinion. It opens up really nice. The problem is if you put this laptop on a fairly steep angle like this on a table, often the case is the laptop will slowly just kind of lower itself down to being completely flat. I would love to see a hinge that has a little bit more firmness to it, that's a little bit more difficult to open. Now, obviously, there is a delicate balance there because people still want to be able to just open up the laptop with one finger, and I get that. I would just like it to see a little bit more stiff on the hinge side. But like I said, with this list, that's sort of my least important sort of complaint about this laptop. On to number 2. My second complaint here is the sleep mode on this particular laptop. Sometimes sleep resumes very quickly with this laptop, and other times not so much. Now, I very much understand this is likely a setting buried in Windows that I could actually dig through and figure out. But the gist of it is this. You put the laptop to sleep, and sometimes it resumes very, very quickly when you open it back up. Other times it basically has gone into like a hibernate mode, even though I have hibernate mode disabled and that sort of thing. Now, it is still an improvement, in my opinion, of Dell's implementation of sleep, at least the sleep mode that they use right now, which chugs through your battery. At least it did on my Dell 9500, my XPS 9500. I would literally have it in my backpack, the Dell, and I would hear the fan going while it was asleep. So Framework's implementation is undoubtedly better, but it's also undoubtedly slower. The Dell implementation basically gave you instantaneous resume at the expense of battery life. Framework seems to have gone the opposite direction while trying to preserve battery. It seems that it takes significantly longer to resume from sleep, and that's just kind of the end of that, but not really a big deal because I had my Dell set up to hibernate when I pushed the power button anyways, because I was so tired of the battery being virtually dead after I just had it in my backpack all day. Item number 3 is the fingerprint reader on the Framework laptop is very hit or miss, and I've retrained it a few times since I've had it, and yeah, it's just really hit or miss. It seems like when resuming from sleep, it's typically pretty good about picking up your fingerprint and popping you right into Windows. However, on a cold boot, it seems to be quite slow, almost like Windows is still firing up when it gives you the prompt to enter your PIN. If you put your finger down on the fingerprint reader, sometimes it'll say it doesn't recognize it. Sometimes it just doesn't act like it even knows a finger is on the fingerprint reader. Now, the reason I bring this up is my work laptop is an Apple MacBook Air, one of the new M1 laptops, and the fingerprint reader on that thing is absolutely fantastic. It's almost instantaneous almost every single time, so there is definitely room for improvement on the fingerprint reader for the framework, and I'm not really sure whether it's a software issue or a hardware issue with the sensor. The great thing, at least, is that if it's a software issue, you can always work on software, and even if it's a hardware issue, it's a modular design, so you can, as the end user, if they ever had like a Gen 2 sensor or just a different sensor in general that was better, they could sell that module separately. You could purchase that for fairly cheaply and just put it into your existing framework laptop. So that is where modularity is so important here, and with these last two items as well. The fourth item on my list, and this was the one that was most evident from the get-go, is the speakers on the framework laptop are not good. Now, I know that a lot of people use earbuds, and speakers are absolutely not a big deal for you, and if that's you, great. But I do listen to my laptop sort of in the background. I put on YouTube or Netflix or whatever while I'm like cooking, or just generally have it playing in the background, and the speakers are terrible when you compare it to something like a Dell XPS laptop or a MacBook, really any MacBook of the recent and very recent generations. The speakers are downfiring and they're fairly quiet. So one thing I would love to see on a future body of the framework laptop would be up-firing speakers that don't just blast into the tabletop, rather ones like MacBooks or XPS laptops that actually fire up from the keyboard. And I feel like that design decision would allow them then to have better speakers themselves over the long run as well. Really, I'm not sure a whole lot can be done with this original framework design because they are down-firing speakers. Maybe there are some better speaker modules they could come out with in the future, but for right now, it's kind of just one of those things you live with. Yes, I can use earbuds. I just don't really like earbuds. So it is a little bit of a bummer. It's not a deal breaker for me, but if it is for you, it is something to absolutely be aware of. And finally, the number one thing that is bothering me about my framework laptop right now, the thing that is driving me absolutely crazy, is actually the trackpad. Now, this I think actually is a hardware issue, and I think that because this is a recent development in that the trackpad itself is not registering clicks some of the time. And it does seem like sometimes restarting the laptop helps, but doesn't completely eliminate the issue. Now, fortunately, there is a simple solution, or at least a workaround, and that is instead of clicking the trackpad, I can always just tap on it. But it is very annoying because I have sort of trained myself out of habit to actually click my trackpads, and sometimes it's just not registering clicks whatsoever. So I do think that is a hardware issue, and the reason it's the most irksome is probably pretty obvious. When you are a habitual trackpad clicker, it not registering those clicks is gonna be annoying, and I'm having to retrain myself to just kind of tap on the trackpad. But that also brings me to the reason that framework laptops are awesome, the reason I have no intention of replacing the laptop as a whole. I can just buy a new trackpad. I fully plan on upgrading my main board at some point when they have those main boards available, because I can get a spec upgrade on my daily driver, not waste the entire laptop by upgrading everything. I'll save a boatload of money with the upgrade. And then I actually have a separate main board that I can, I don't know, come up with some sort of cool project to use it for. It's a huge advantage for consumers to be able to just sort of upgrade their device as they go. It's why I absolutely adore the company of Framework right now, and I hope they keep supporting this laptop moving forward. Right now, it's looking very good, and I'm very excited to see what they do in the future with new modules, but also with their new expansion cards as well. I just saw that they have an Ethernet expansion card that's coming out, so it's very exciting. And for anybody that's sort of on the fence about whether or not to get the Framework laptop, I haven't had it crash or anything like that. Like, these are my major complaints with it, and all of these things could potentially be fixed fairly easily. The hinge is a hardware thing. They could just release a new hinge. The sleep mode thing, that's a software thing. they can work on software. The fingerprint reader, it's its own module. You can replace that module. The speakers, that's the only one that they might not be able to work to my satisfaction just because they're downfiring speakers. Maybe eventually they come out with a different sort of bottom part of the laptop that you could purchase that has different speaker placement. I don't know. That's probably not going to happen, but you never know. And the trackpad obviously is replaceable and hopefully not a widespread issue. Hopefully that's just an issue with mine. But other than that, I've been extremely satisfied with the Framework laptop. I will link Framework down below. It's not like an affiliate link or anything like that, but if you're interested in the laptop, in a modular laptop, definitely check out their website. And of course, I will link the charger that I've been using with my Framework laptop as well, and those links down below. But I do want to hear from those of you out there that do have your own Framework laptop. How are you feeling about it? Let us know in those comments down below. How long have you had your laptop? What are your major complaints? Or what are the big things that you absolutely love about it? I want to know all your thoughts down there. Other than that, YouTube's going to queue up some more videos from my channel for you to watch. I'm Shane with Hoosier Hardware, and I will catch all of you in the next video.